Well, good morning again, everybody. Hey, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. I'm going to bring you up just a little bit here. There we go. So great to see you guys again. This video is a stitch along we are doing out of the Family Favorites book by Sherry and Chelsea. And I've got links to the pattern that's in this book and all of the fabric and everything below. We are stitching the Brightly sampler. We're doing a block a week, which is really easy to keep up with. And great to see everybody here in the chat. Yay, so nice. It was such a pleasure. I just got back from Road to California Quilt Show, and I had several of you come up to me and say, I'm an embroiderer. I'm not a quilter, but I want to be a quilter, and I'm stitching along the Brightly sampler with you, and the blocks are coming out great. And so I'm so proud of you. I just want to encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and keep going because it's a lot of fun. This is a really, really fun quilt. On my blog, powertoolswiththread.com, there is a blog post for the Brightly sampler. In the search box, you can just type Brightly sampler and it'll come up. We have a schedule on there that you can print out if you want to know what we're going to be doing and when. And also, I am using the strawberry lemonade line from Sherry and Chelsea. And a lady in our Facebook group also made this quilt using the strawberry lemonade line. And she put a picture of her blocks on the Facebook group. That's the Power Tools with Thread private Facebook group. Please join. So I asked her name is Shirley Scott. So thank you, Shirley. I asked her if I could make mine look just like hers because I have trouble putting fabrics together so that they look right and everything is balanced and all of that. I'm not good at that. So I love that others are, and I like to champion their gifts and then copy them if I can. So she said, of course. So this picture is also on that blog post and you can see all of that. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and show you the blog post that I'm talking about. I'm going to bring it up. And my blog is powertoolswiththread.com. Let me bring this up. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen. So here we go. There it is. Okay. So this is my blog, powertoolswiththread.com. Okay. And you'll get all the posts that I've been up to, what I'm doing. Here's using easy stacks. Okay, here's the quilt alongs that I'm working on. And let's get down here. We're going to start Prairie Home in March. Okay, so I'm going to be stitching Prairie Home, and we can do Prairie Home together. Now that's a block a month or a couple of blocks a month, but we're going to do those. I'm probably going to do a live for this one too. So if you want to make Lori Holt's Prairie Home, go ahead and get in on that. Let's scroll down. I know they're here. There it is. Join me to make the Brightly sampler quilt. All right, I'm going to click on this. And here is the whole blog post. Here is where you can get your pattern book and fabric, and it tells you how much you need if those lines are out and you have a fat quarter bundle you want to use of your own. Here is the schedule, okay, and you can download that right here and print it out if you want. There's my fabric, and here is that picture from Shirley. You can print this out if you want as well. So we will be here every Monday at 9. And we're going to be stitching at 9 Central, you guys. Okay. So that is it. So there's your little roadmap to get you going. If you are not a quilter, this is a great quilt to start with. This is called a sampler, and a sampler is a bunch of different blocks. They're not all the same. So we have 5 different blocks and they're being used 4 times for a total of 20 blocks. Okay. And so this is the second go for the fancy block. So we are January 27th. I can't believe, look, we're almost halfway through. We're almost to the halfway point. Isn't that something? So that is the block location in this column here. That means this particular block that I'm making, this is in row 3, column 3. So that's row and column here. And then the pages in the book. Last week we made the album mosaic. Let's see here. I want to get to the fancy block. This is the easiest one. This is a good one to start with. But the fancy block is this one right here. Okay. It's got a tic-tac-toe feel to it. Okay. You better get started, Quilt Wench. Yeah, you need to get started. But we're just doing a block a week. It's pretty simple. Now, I want to encourage you guys to get your quilt cut. Okay. Try not to cut a block at a time. See if you can cut all of your blocks. For that, like I said, we're going to use 5 blocks 4 times. So cut all of the fancy blocks at one time. And I have put mine on Easy Stacks. I have links to these below. And these are designed for papers, you guys, in an office setting. But they're just clear little trays. Okay. And I used a glue stick and I put a piece of batting on the bottom of it and glued batting to it. And so these are all of my pieces that are cut for this. And right now I am keeping these in a Yazzie bag. This is the fold over case. I've got a link to this too. I also have a 10% off coupon code for Yazzie bags if you use my link. So let me flip this over. So this is how I am keeping all of this. It's already cut. It's ready to go. And each week I'm ready to go ahead and start a block with you guys. Okay. So everybody's playing catch up. That's good. That's good. No problem. Now I'm also using a design board. If you're brand new to quilting, this particular board is from the Fat Quarter Shop. Now, Lori Holt, these are by Lori Holt of Be in My Bonnet, and they're carried at the Fat Quarter Shop. If you want to make your own, you can do Lori Holt design board on YouTube in the search, and it will come up and she will show you how to make your own. If you have more money than time, yeah, more money than time, then go ahead and order these. I love them. I have several in different sizes. The 14-inch, that's this one, really seems to be the one that I use the most. So I'm going to show you how I use the design board when I quilt. You want something to lay your pieces out on and get your block all set so that if you're using directional fabrics, you know that they're all laid in the right order and everything's the right orientation. And the design board is better than just having it on your table next to your machine, because inevitably life happens, right? So when life happens, you can just pick this up with the pieces you've already stitched, pile them on top of it, and move it. And I don't want to hear from spam. Let me turn my ringer off. Sorry, guys. Oh, it is off. It rang on my watch. Okie dokie. So let me put this just, okay. So we are on page 9, and I'm going to go ahead and lay out my fancy block. I'm going to point this down so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay. And what I do with my pieces. Here they are. They're hiding. They're hiding. They're hiding. Okay. So here we go. This is pretty easy. We're going to make 4 patches, and you want to make sure that the color is in the corner. So really easy. I can go ahead and take 4 colored pieces and put these in the corner. These, the outer print, let's see, these are piece D in the pattern. And I can't give you the size, guys, because then I give away the pattern, and I don't want to do that, right? And then we have got these last 4 colors, and we can just set these to the diagonal of those, okay? So we're setting all these out. There we go. That looks great. Now we have a white on white. You need to make sure that you have got the white print up, whatever your background. Oh, you finished all your album mosaics, Paula. Good for you. That's wonderful. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to really look at these. This particular print does not reflect well with the black light, because believe me, I have tried. So it's going to be 1 up, 1 down, because I cut them 2 at a time. So 1 up, 1 down. I just got back from road to California, y'all. I had a wonderful time. Fantastic inspiration in the quilts there. You know, sometimes those quilts are a little bit outside of my skill level, but I love looking at them and I admire people that can do that. That is so nice. All right. So here are our little 4 patches, right? Awesome. So there's our little 4 patches, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And then we've got I fussy cut this to put the flower in the middle. Fussy cutting means you're taking your ruler and you're putting it specifically over a certain design. And it's not perfectly center, but that's okay. I like that. But fussy cutting is a term used in the quilt world to make sure that you're getting your fabric on a specific design. And that's really used a lot in novelty prints. So I'm making the companion quilt to this out of the farmstead line. And so in my middle, I might have a cow or a chicken or something like that. So there we go. There's the block right there. Okay. Does anyone know where the lamb sticker behind me came from? You love it. Stacy, that lamb is you can find that. I've got a link to Etsy below, but it's on Etsy and it is Corey Yoder merch, Coriander Quilts merch. And that's Corey Yoder's, that's her woolly wall hanging. So, okay, let's do the hard part. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sew 4 patches. Okay. And then when the 4 patches are done, we're just going to sew these 3 rows together because essentially we'll be sewing then a 9 patch. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is the basis for most blocks. Okay. All right. I'm so glad to hear that you guys are making this right along with me. I know a lot of you are getting ahead and that's fantastic too, but I am going to go block by block. And if you finish, you're always welcome to pop in and join and visit with us. All right. So we're going to go ahead. Now I'm going to do what's called assembly line sewing. Okay. So I'm just going to take this pink to this white and I'm going to make sure that I sew this. Again, maintain the integrity of the base shape, and the base shape is the one that's on the bottom. So I'm just going to sew this, and I'm going to stitch all of these together. All right, just like that. So let's get to some sewing, okay? All right. Now, the way I'm doing this with this fabric, it is not directional. Okay, this fabric right here, this is not directional. If you are using directional fabric, then you need to make sure you sew on the right side of the fabric. Okay, make sure my needle's not threaded. What happened here? What's going on here? Okay, my thread I'm using is Essential Pro from Connecting Threads. I love this. Turn this on. The needle threader on this machine is the Pitts. I love this machine, but the needle threader, ugh. And I have fiddled with it and fiddled with it. So I just go old school on here and that'll work. Okay, I've got lots of bobbins made up and I'm ready to go. On this machine, if you have the PQ 1500 or 1600, there is a 1/4 inch foot in your accessories, so make sure you dig that out. The 1/4 inch foot does not come on the machine. So now here's that second one. See how that's got the dark on the top? I want to press to the dark, so I'm going to make sure that the dark is always on top. All right. Your fabric will naturally want to press to the dark. You know what, y'all? My iron, including my new Oliso iron, is on its way right now from California to here, and it won't be here till Thursday. Let me grab my other little one. My apologies. Yeah, the Juki, y'all, the Juki and these Brother PQ straight stitch machines all get made in the same factory over in Taiwan. I think. I'm pretty sure because they sure look the same. Oh, my goodness. Let me get this other little iron Oh, not professional. I am sorry. Sorry. Let me move back over here and not trip over all my cables and my cords. Here we go. I've got my other one. So I don't have my pressing tools. They're on their way as well. Okay. Let me iron this. Let me plug this in. Ugh, not ready. Okay, that's on. I kicked my laptop. That's on. And then, whoo, goodness. I'm going to use the big one because we have big block here. Okay. I've got my seam roll. And if you are new, the age-old question, do you press your seams open? I do on certain blocks, but for the most part, I don't. If you use the proper pressing tools, this is a seam roll. I have a link to it below. They have the 13-inch and they have a 6.5-inch and then a clapper. If you use these tools, you'll get super flat seams as if they were pressed open, and now you don't have to worry about weak seams. All right. I am just of that mindset, you guys, that a seam pressed open is weak. Okay. So I am using a 3-tier cart from Amazon right here. Let me put this down so you can see what I'm doing. I have a 13 by 17 Steady Betty sitting on top of the cart. There's nothing underneath. Okay. I have my little iron and now I have my seam roll. I'm just going to leave this right here and my clapper. So when you guys see me ironing, this is my setup. All right. Okay. And then I just brought this over here so you could see the smaller one. Okay. Here we go. I am ready to start sewing now. Now I'm back. Now I'm in business. Okay. Oh, Michelle, you are so right. She says, coming back from a retreat or a trip like that, it's hard to get everything back in. It is fun to go. But, you know, this is getting back in order. And then it's not even here, right? And I'm not going to show y'all my cutting table because it's really bad. It is really, really bad. So I'm just going to assembly line sew all of these little blocks together. I don't want any white. I don't want any background fabric hanging over the color, and I don't want to see any color over the background fabric. All right. We are keeping everything lined up straight. Okay. And assembly line sewing is so good. It really moves things along. Okay. Am I going to the show in Paducah? Susan, that is not on the schedule this year. If I can swing it, I might do that, but I don't know. So you have a steamer trunk would have helped for those fines. You guys, the shipping bill at UPS, I filled a 20 cube and it was $93, which is cheaper than a third suitcase, purchasing a third suitcase and putting it on my plane. So I know. I should have, and you know, I already brought 2 suitcases on Southwest and those fly free, right? So I was ready to go. All right, I got 2 more to do. So I'm almost halfway done stitching the 4 patches already, which is nice. So again, this is not directional fit. Why doesn't that fit like that? That's weird. You know, it's strange. They're supposed to be square, and it's so funny. Sometimes they will fit one way exactly, and you turn it the other way and it doesn't. And you're like, what's going on? Okay. I was saying, when you press to the dark, put the dark fabric on top, the fabric that's on top is naturally going to want to roll and flip over. I don't know why. It's some kind of magic like that. Okay. So here we go. So, oh, Karen, she says instead of making 4 different colorway blocks, I made 4 of the same pattern. Hey, that's all right. That'll be cute too, right? Okay, so all I'm going to do here on this is just open these up, and I'm going to press and crease these with my fingernail. Okay. I like to finger press first. It seems like another extra step, but what it does is it gives the fabric an idea. This is the way I want you to go. Okay. This is what I want you to do. And the fabric says, oh, okay, I'm on board with that. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to do these 4 first. They fit real nice here. Okay. And then I'm just going to press these with the clapper. Let me use my right hand. I press it with my right and then just come behind it while the fabric is still hot. You don't have to hold it for 3 or 4 minutes. Just, a couple of seconds is really all you need. The clapper has been around in garment sewing for centuries, and it's just in the last couple of years has made its way into the quilting world. And the ones that I'm using are from Grey Rooster, and they are the best in the industry, you guys. Love it. I need to get him to make a tube, pressing tube thing. It's like a half round, because I was making that the bag, the Bianni bag, and you've got to turn your tubes and press your seams open on the tubes to make straps, and that's difficult to do. Now, I was able to do it on my seam roll, no problem, but that little flat tube is handy dandy. Okay. Let me do this. So I had told y'all on my channel last November, my friend Dana, her husband passed. And while I was gone, she came over and I came home to a big pile of his Harley Davidson t-shirts on my cutting table. So guess what I'll be doing? Oh, you have a wooden rolling pin that you use. That's good, Lynn. That's a good one. Okay. Yes, Grey Rooster is in Fort Worth. And he used to go to the Houston Quilt Show all the time. Y'all, I don't have my scissors. They're on the way. My snips and my scissors are on the way. I have more. I have more. Ah, I can't believe this. Well, I can. I was so worried about getting the fabric ready. I didn't even think about my notions. These, this will work. I thought I had more snips in here. Snips. Yeah, that's not the right tool for the job, my dad used to say all the time. My cutting, let's see, those are, oh my goodness. Well, all right. I'll just have to use my Fiskars, you guys. I'm not going to dig around forever to get my scissors. Can you believe this? Good thing y'all are talking amongst yourselves. My rotary cutter and everything. Do I have another rotary cutter down here? No. And I'm so particular about what tools I use in my sewing space, and they're not here. And now my brain is like, okay. I'm not sure what ATM means during a text either. Sometimes you have to wonder, guys, if somebody's cat isn't walking on their keyboard. You know what I mean? So I know these are scissors for Laura Heine stuff, but they'll work just perfectly for this. Nice and sharp. So these are my little, see, everything is pressed to the dark, meaning that the seam allowance presses to the dark fabric. That's what you want to do. Let me get this thread off of here. I can't believe. So what happened was, I sound like a kid making an excuse at school. What happened was the camera switcher box that I use about a week or so ago, something happened. I don't know what it was, and it quit working. And so for the last couple of minutes before we went live, I was fiddling with that, and I got it to work, and I was so excited, and I wasn't even thinking about my scissors. That's exactly what happened. Make sure this is out of the way. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to make our 4-patch, and I want to show you guys how to nest. I have a video down below in the description box. You guys give a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. Okay. Oh, Stacy, you like the Karen Buckley scissors for the wool application. I'm getting ready to play with wool, so thank you for that tip. Okay, so they need to be opposite. The color fabric is opposite of each other, right? So I'm going to start over here, and I'm just going to shift these together until I feel that they have met up and I've got resistance. And then I'm going to take my pin and I'm going on the diagonal from right to left. If I'm looking at it, I'm going from top to bottom. So I'll do it. And I want to go in one side of the seam allowance and out the other. And let me show you up close what that looks like. In one side of the seam allowance and out the other. And the purpose for that is so that, see how they kind of want to turn too. And then I'm also going to take another pin and I'm going to pin these bottom edges together so they don't wiggle around. Now, the purpose for going on the diagonal here is so that as the needle travels down, I can get 1 to 2 stitches over that seam and then pull the pin. So the seam is held tightly together until after I sew it. And I am looking at something here that I don't like. This particular block, look at that. I've got a pull right there. That's not good. So I'm just going to stitch this. I'm just going to finish off this stitch real quick here. All right. Okay. There we go. Y'all, oh, flying. I'm afraid I don't want to come down with something, do I? No. So it does not matter one way or the other, this side, that side. I usually have the seam allowance on top pointing to my left. It just allows me to pull them over together left to right until they match up. And they're nicely together. And then this, put that end. I'm not liking this. I want to show you guys. This bothers me. See how much pink I have over the top of this white right here? See how much pink? That matters. All right. So I'm not real comfortable with that. Even though my seams are the same, that's off. So what do you do in that case? You can unpick it. I'm not going to. So what you want to do is make sure, that means one of these, for whatever reason, it either got pulled smaller during the stitching process, or maybe it's cut just a tiny bit off. But what you can do is you can take a ruler and you can see which one of these is exact with the pattern. Okay, which one is the right? Which one's right? So I'm going to put my ruler on here and look. This looks right this way, and this looks right this way. So I suspect that the white, being on the bottom, got pulled in, eased in, smaller than the top. So since the colored fabric is right, I'm going to use the colored fabric as my guide. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to use the colored fabric as my guide. And that's the one I'm going to match up perfectly. And I will stick with a 1/4 inch seam, and it might be a little shy on the white, but that's okay. That's not that big of a deal. There's all these little concepts you kind of got to think about when you are sewing, and especially when you're like, I know I cut that to the right size, and how come it changed? Feed dogs. Can be your friend or not. Okay, so now, regardless of what's going on with the white fabric, I'm going to stitch this with the 1/4 inch seam. All right, I'm going to get 2 stitches over it, pull the pin, and go. Okay, and that's fine. That'll work. That should be a pretty good nest. We'll check it out. Let me do this. So again, I'm pulling them, they're away from each other. I'm going to slide them too. This one's nice and straight. But if you're sewing these together, be careful with the chest congestion. Oh my goodness, Kim. Yeah. You know, you're sitting in the airport and people are sitting next to you sneezing. It's like, oh my word, really? And as a rule, I'm pretty healthy. I take lots of vitamin D, so I should be okay. Just need a lot of rest. Now, my little top piece just kind of wanted to fold up a little. I'm going to lift that and not let it get underneath there. Keep an eye on that. I'm going to pull this. There we go. Here's our little 4 patches. This is the hardest part of this whole thing right here. Charlene, my stitch length is a 2.5. I don't back stitch. I'm a trooper. Well, you know, you got to get up and get moving, right? I'll be okay. I just got wore out at that trade show. I won't do one of those again. I'll go in my own capacity, but required to be there by a vendor, that's a little hard for me because I'm on, first of all, there's a time change, right? That's the hardest part for me. Okay, here's our 4th one. All done. All right. I don't backstitch. When you use a straight stitch machine, there's something, I don't know what it is, don't really need it. And your stitches hold together. That first one had an issue because that was the very first stitch. I wasn't, like, this is kind of the leader ender type of concept. All right, we're done. Ah, that one worked good. Now I'm going to cut these apart. Yeah, whenever I do things, you guys, I try to explain to you why I do these things. I have a garment sewing background, and there are things that I do from the garment sewing world that they don't teach in quilting. Let me get this down so you guys can see my my stitching. Hold on a second here. This. And we're going to point this down. There we go. You're laughing as you know it's an easy block and you sewn 3 rows together and flipped and confused. Yes, yes. That's the thing. Even though you go, oh, this is easy. My brain can take a break. No, you really kind of have to pay attention. Yeah. Oh, I've done the same thing. So let me press this over. Again, not pressing my seams open because I can get the whole point of pressing your seams open is to get flat seams. But if you are using the right tailor's tools or pressing tools, you can get them just as flat. Let me bring you in here and show you the quality of this really pretty flat seam. Okay, super flat. All right. And look at the nest. It's beautiful. Perfect, perfect, perfect nest. Okay. I appreciate you too, Linda. Thank you. All right. So there's my one little 4 patch. I'm going to set it down back on the design board in the direction I want it to go so I don't get confused. Okay. Because that's really easy to do. People ask me if I spin my seams. I do, but only on pinwheels. Otherwise, I don't fiddle with it. I got a new Oliso iron at the trade show. I was at Road to California, which is a big show. And I got a new Oliso iron. And they asked me to work with them, and I'm very excited about that. So I got the little one, the M3 Pro, and their new pressing pads and all of that. So all of that is on the way. I shipped a box on Saturday morning at the UPS store. It's not leaving the store till today. And then it'll be here on Thursday because I just did not have room. at all. So you can see every one of these blocks, you guys, the nesting turned out perfect using that diagonal pin method. Turned out perfect. Okay, very nice. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Very pretty. Okay, so again, now on my design board, I'm making sure that my blocks, my colors are in my corners. Colors to the corners, okay? Don't look at the needle. It knows where it's going. That's right, Tina. You don't need to pay attention to that needle. Not till you get right near the end, right? Yep. Watch where it's that concept is kind of like when you drive, right? If you're looking at the steering wheel, who knows where you're going to go? But if you're looking at the head of the car or in front of the car, you're naturally going to follow where you're going to go. So that's right. It's the same idea. Okay, so let's get back to stitching this. Very good. Alrighty. Now, I'm just going to make a 9 patch. Okay, so I'm going to sew this one to this one. And so the way I do that is I'm going to sew 2, 2, and 2, and then sew one onto the other end. All right. When I do my pressing on my blocks, I just have made this habit. This is just a thing for me. You can do whatever you want. I press my odd rows to the left or the outside. I press my odd rows out. I press my even rows in. Okay. So that's how I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and now I need to pay attention. So I flipped this to here. All right. I don't have any seams I have to match up in the middle, which makes me very happy. I am going to pin at the bottom so it doesn't wiggle around and the bottom fabric does not get pulled through faster than the top. Your sewing machine likes to do you a favor and ease that in for garment sewing, okay? Now, remember I told you the top fabric wants to fold over. I want this seam to go in, so I'm going to put the dark on the top for row 2. A lot of people don't pin that bottom. If you can hold it with a nail, your fingernail or something, that's fine. I've got osteoarthritis in my hands, and it hurts to put that kind of pressure for extended periods of time. So I just use a pin. But you can use whatever you want. All right. And I'm going to turn this around so that I'm sewing on the correct side of it. Okay, so there's our 3 of those. All right, now, before you do anything, I'm not going to press these until later, okay? So before I do anything, let me back this out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put these back where they go. This is what she was talking about. You found this last week, Liz? Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Where's my Sunshine Committee, you guys? We've got a newbie. Liz is here. I'm glad you joined us, Liz. Okay, all skill levels are welcome. Okay, so I'm laying this back out so everything's in the right orientation. I'm not going to get turned around. You like wiggle butts? Quilt wedge? That's so funny. Dave sent that for Frito because she's a little Queensland stumpy tail cattle dog, and she has a little wiggle butt. She tries to wiggle her tail. Her whole backside just goes and goes. So you see what I did there? So I pulled these 2 up and attached the other one on so I know it's in the right orientation. That's really important. Okay. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera, y'all. Sorry. Let me do this. My bad. Okay. Yep. Lots of newbie. That's if you're new, let us know. We love you guys. All right. So that's what I was talking about. So now everything is laid out the way I want it. I'm making sure this is right. You got to make sure, okay, you don't want this going on. This is no good. That's the white. We want color in the corner, okay? Color in the corner. So now I'm going to, now that I've sewn this one, this one, this one, I'm going to flop that over and I'm going to sew these together, okay? We have such a wonderful group here for stitching. Love it. I had y'all come up wearing shirts with my old logos from like back in 2019, 2020. So good. Seeing you guys for years, we've been stitching together, and I love that. You guys have grown right along with me. Okay. Now, again, I want the color. I want to press to the dark. I'm pressing this into this in. So I'm going to turn this so that the dark is, it's going to want to fold toward the dark. Okay. If you don't think about that, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It'll work just fine. That's an extra thing to think about. And if your brain's full, don't worry. You don't have to fiddle. It'll still turn out just fine. Okay. Don't beat yourself up over something like that. That's piddly stuff. Okay. You started now you want to try this one. You don't know if you can catch up. Delia, you can. You can because we're sewing the same blocks multiple times. So if you were to sew this one now, then you can sew another one and you'll be all caught up. So sew 2 blocks instead of 1 and you'll be all caught up. You know what I mean? Okay. So now we have our 3 rows together. All right. All right. So this one is going to be pressed this way. I press even numbers to the center. And then these are going to be pressed out like this. See, once I give it a finger press, it just kind of stays put and waits for me to come along with the iron and really set that crease. Okay. Okay. Get this done. Yeah, my apologies, you guys, for not having my stuff together. Oh, well. You're planning on catching up. Well, there you go. So, you see, Delia and Shelly, y'all can be stitching together. That's awesome. This is a nice, easy pace quilt. If you want to stitch one day and one the next. Remember what I tell y'all, it's always about having something cut and ready to go. All right, so this row is done. Be careful that you don't put it up here. Remember, we need color in the corner, so this one goes down here. Okay, don't forget. That's really easy to do. Really easy to do. The book I am using, hi Sonia, thanks for joining. The book I am using is the Family Favorites book by Sherry and Chelsea. I have a link below in the description box to the book. It's at the Fat Quarter Shop. And we are, this particular quilt is a sampler and it uses 4 blocks 5 times for a total of 20 squares, 20 blocks. There we go. Hold this up. There we go. So look at this. We're almost all ready to, now we're just going to sew these 3 rows together. You get paralyzed cutting out pieces. Well, sailing, I don't blame you. So the thing you should do is get yourself your ugly fabric or your scrap basket and do that and just practice. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to fold this over. And now when I start matching my seams, I start from the inside and work my way out to match seams. So I'm going to do the nesting exactly like we did before, slide it over on itself. Again, I have a video in the description box below for how to nest. Okay. Let me put these, butt these up together real good. Nice and pretty. Everybody's friends here, right? You need to start with this. Curious says, I have other projects I need to get done before starting this, but it looks simple since it's multiples of the same and they are not complicated. Yes, they are very simple. And this is nice. There is a little bit of difficulty in one of the blocks, but the rest of them are pretty simple. And this is just a nice, easy stitch. So we can get going. Easy peasy. If your fabric, if you see where you can see a little bit of color up top in the middle on when you have a middle block, why don't you just kind of pull it, get it all together, and pin it. Don't be afraid to pin like crazy, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes pinning about every 2 inches is helpful. All right, here we go. Uh-oh, I went crooked on that. I was looking out the window. My neighbor just drove by with a big old trailer, and I was like, what's all that noise? I'm just going to stitch it again. That's better. Concentrate. Focus, Becky. Focus, focus. There we go. This is the easiest block in the quilt, I think, the fancy block. Okay, there's that one. Let me take a peek at my nests. Everything looks really good. All right, and now I'm going to do the last one. Don't put this one up here. That's not how that goes. Make sure that we're not like this, okay? Colors in the corners, colors in the corners. There we go. What's going on here? Oh, so I sewed this one. I ironed this one wonky. Push this way. I ironed that one weird. So I'll just press it the other way. Now I'm doing this one from the back because I'm pressing it a different direction. Let me make sure I got this right. Sometimes when you go to press and your little seams are wrong direction, that's an indicator. And it's not the end of the world if you sew them together like that, right? It's just your nesting is going to be easier. Nesting is easier if they're pressed correctly. There we go. And you will see in pattern books, they'll have little arrows. And that means which way they think you ought to press. Again, you don't have to do it that way. That's just to make your life easier. But the designer's trying to do you a favor by saying, hey, you're going to get a flatter seam and a flatter block if you do it this way. All righty. I know Betty Boop's in here, y'all. She's one of my, she's a master quilter. And so she's really good at answering questions. So I appreciate you doing that, Lisa. You're awesome. I met Super Betty Boop this weekend in California. I know you've seen her name in our chats before. Okay. Last seam. We're already done. Now, I know a lot of you like to get up and walk to your ironing board for pressing. Y'all, that's not efficient. Yes, you get your steps and good for you, but you can get them another way. It's not efficient. I'm efficient. I want this done. I got other quilts to make. Okay. That's my philosophy on that. All right, we're all done. How'd we do? Perfecto. Perfecto. Yay, no unpicking on this time. Yay! That's awesome. No unpicking. All right, let's see here. Time to do some pressing. All right, I'm just going to pull this down and finger press it. That's the way I want you to go. Okay. I've got a lot of my embroiderers that are not quilters, and you are getting in on this, and I'm very proud of you for stepping out of your comfort zone. So you quilters, there are embroiderers in here. We do embroidery projects, and you guys are kind of not sure what's going on, and these other ladies are just whipping around on those embroidery machines. So it's all about what we're comfortable with, and we all support each other and help each other. It's a good thing, right? I love it. Okay. Ooh, pretty, pretty, pretty. All right. Here we go. The block is supposed to be 12.5. Let's see. And it is exactly perfect. Let's see this way. 12.5. Perfecto. Love it. All right. And the fourth one. Yay. 12.5. It's beautiful. Love it. Love it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay. So there's our block. Okay. There you go. You guys are all, where do you live? Now, see how it's got little wrinkles and whatnot? Do not worry about that. That will do what we call quilting out as it all gets put in with sashing. Don't worry about those. These are nothing. That's nothing. That will go away in the quilt. That will go away as we get going. Okay. So, all right, let me put this up here. So for those of you, and I kind of want to address this, there are different styles of quilting, okay? And the quilt show that I went to this weekend at Road to California, there are quilts in there that in my lifetime, I will never even, let alone, I don't even want to make a quilt like that, okay? I don't want to do that. I admire the beauty and the skill and the craftsmanship. It's incredible. But I don't, those of you that go to those shows and you see all this micro quilting or where they create texture from negative space with all of the, which means a big wide piece of white fabric with nothing on it, or background fabric. When you see those, pardon me, when you see those kinds of quilts, don't compare yourself to that. Don't sit there and say, I can never do that, so I'm not even going to try. That style of quilting is for that style of quilter. Quilts are like clothes, all right? I don't wear jeans with holes in the knees. That's not me. That's not my style, but I still wear jeans, right? So I did see amazing things. Oh, hi, Joanne. Yeah, Joanne from Let's Go Sew is there. Joanne, you can absolutely attest to this, right? Because Joanne is a garment sewer. So simply because you can't make something doesn't mean you shouldn't make something, right? It's different kinds of quilting. So if you're new to quilting and you say, I want to go to a quilt show and see these quilts, and you're looking at these things, I'm telling you, you guys, the quilts that I have in my home, my day-to-day life, the things that I use and love, you rarely see those kinds of quilts now at quilt shows. Now you're seeing quilts that have extraordinary craftsmanship. You would not want to cuddle in it. It's got bling all over it. It's got stitching so dense, the thing is as thick as a flak vest. Okay. Don't compare that to quilts that you would make for grandchildren. This is just really, that's right. Not everyone makes a wedding dress. You're absolutely right, Kathy. Joanne's correct. Just like costume makers, they spend months and months on one piece, and we'll spend months and months on a quilted snowman. Okay. And while this might do well at a 4-H show or a local show, something like that, I just want to let you guys know, don't feel like I can't make that, so I'm not even going to try. All right. I look at those things and I'm like, that is insane what these people are doing. They're making quilts of photos of family members and all of this stuff. And you look at them. Now, Edita Sitar did have a beautiful display there. And I was like, I can make that. That's my style of quilting. She and I are the same style of quilter. So Delia says she's a garment and embroiderer, but want to start this. Well, good. I'm glad you are, Delia. You need to. So, yeah, the judged quilts in those big major quilt shows are not the same quilts you will see at shows locally. Okay. And just think about that. You know, my grandchildren absolutely adore the quilts that I make for them, and they will keep them, maybe pass them down to their own children. Okay. And that's a wonderful thing. But the ones that you see on the walls in the quilt shows, you guys don't, you know, if you aspire to that and you have that gift, God love you. I think that's fantastic. But that's not the style of quilter that I am. So I like to go and see them and admire their beauty, and just I'm in awe. But then I have to come back home and I have to get real, right? I have to get real. All right, so that's it for this one. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the Fancy Block from the Brightly Sampler. What do I do with my pattern book? Here it is. This quilt is in the Family Favorites book by Sherry and Chelsea for the Fat Quarter Shop. And this is the second time we have stitched this one. So let's see where we're at. Okay, let's see where we are at. This was week 7. Let's bring it up. Ta-da! Look at that. Yay! There we are. All right, so here, this is going to go right here. Awesome. We are moving right along. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that fantastic? Elle says Rembrandt versus paint by numbers. I'm a paint by numbers girl. That's me. So, yeah, this is really exciting to be working on this. So this quilt has 25 blocks in it, and we just finished block 7. Yep. All right. So that's it, you guys. Thank you for being here. Be sure to join me tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central, in the Stitchuation Room right here on this channel. And we're going to do some more stitching tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. We have plans for later. What do you got me doing, Joanne? I want to check my email. All right. I got you. Maybe I am on your show this evening. I don't know. I need to look. Somebody asked me about that. I'm like, I don't know. We'll talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.